Our Packers are, as expected, back on track with a big win over the Bears, and now the Packer headed to Tampa to face the Buccaneers. We're going to dig into the details as well as sharing fantastic listener feedback, all on this victory episode of your Packers Fan Podcast.
Just like last year, the Pack is back after a heartbreaking Week 1 loss. I'm Scott Clark from the Gambling Outsider, and it feels so much better to have good news to talk about this week. Let me tell you, I am amped.
As am I. I'm Wayne Henderson, and I'm still recovering from Alan Lazard's end zone celebration in more ways than one. It's episode 255 of your Packers Fan Podcast, and this time around, we're going to recap what we loved and didn't from Green Bay's great victory over the Bears, and then it'll be time for a huge test for the Pack. They're heading to hot and humid Tampa Bay to play Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Some would say the referees as well.
Oh my goodness. You're starting that already early.
Not me. I'm just saying some would say.
I forgot about the heat. That's making me rethink my prediction for the game, but I'm probably going to stick to my guns.
Don't you do it. Yes, stick to your guns.
I will also have my keys to victory for the Packers when they face the Buccaneers, and as is tradition, we share our great thoughts and feedback. And let's jump right into it. It's so good to have highlights this week because they were few and far between last week, and it was a completely different offense in Week 2. Let me tell you, in fact, here are the leaders on Sunday's game. First off, Aaron Rodgers, 19 out of 25 passes for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 15 carries, 132 yards and a touchdown run, as well as 3 receptions for 38 yards. A.J. Dillon, 18 carries over 61 yards. Sammy Watkins, 3 receptions for 93 yards. And Randall Cobb, 3 receptions for 37 yards. Love seeing, there's actually more passes too. I think it was up to like 8 or 9 different receivers that Rodgers threw to. So he's spreading the ball and he's running the ball, it was so much fun to watch that run game.
Yes, and the fact that it was at Lambeau just made it that much better. It was great to see Sammy Watkins, Alan Lazard, and Randall Cobb getting more involved this week. And word is that Randall Cobb asked Aaron to lean on him more, and he did, and it worked out quite well.
Yeah, I believe one of the announcers said the quote was like, "You brought me here, use me." Like, you fought to get me here. Why aren't you using me more? And he did a little bit more this week, so it was very good to see. Also, the defense was just absolutely on fire, especially in the second half. Chicago was forced to 4 3-and-outs in a row.
Oh, yeah.
Which was just incredible to see. Rasul Douglas was incredibly fired up. Just overall, so much better coverage than last week, especially against the run and going after Fields. Putting him on the turf was a lot of fun to see.
That's an understatement. And imagine how fun it'll be to put Tom Brady on the turf this week.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. And Jair Alexander's interception was definitely the dagger for this game. You and I and Dan Dyler and many others all called it right at that moment. The dagger. Yes. So good.
It was great. And welcome back, Jenkins. It's the first time he's played since November 12th when he had that torn ligament. I know that Aaron Jones really liked that extra protection, so that was really cool to see.
And Coach LaFleur still hasn't lost 2 games in a row, Scott.
I know, it's incredible. He's got to be up there for one of the better younger coaches out there. It's pretty incredible. I also loved his comments right after halftime. He was being interviewed by one of the sideline reporters, and he said something about coming into the third quarter. He said the score is 0-0. Kind of recognizing that there were multiple comebacks from the day's scores. In the noon game and in the 3:00 game. So, going in with no overconfidence. Now, granted, they didn't score any points in the third quarter, and we'll get to that later. But I just like that mentality. Yes. It doesn't matter how much we're up by. You start the second half as if nobody has scored yet. Do not play like we're ahead by 2 scores. And I really like that. I got 3 more positives here, man. First off, I want to kind of go into the running game just a little bit more. I mentioned it earlier, but 203 total yards with an average of 5.3 yards per carry. That is how you win fundamental football, man. Compare that to a total of 211 passing yards. This game was much more even spread in terms of play calling than last week. I love that we have so many threats on offense right now. It's really cool. We even saw Jones and Dillon on the same play together
a few times.
That is just so much fun to see. I love, and I know the announcers, I don't know how much inside information they actually have or if they're getting it secondhand, but they were talking about how the two of them, Jones and Dillon, just have no animosity towards each other. It's all about winning the game, and it's all about supporting each other, calling each other out for mistakes. I love that kind of camaraderie in football, and it brings me back to the Brett Favre days a little bit, where these guys just love to play football, love to play together, and I think we need to see a lot more of that, especially with everything that's happened in the offseason the last couple of years. It's good to see that come back. Lastly, that stop on 4th and goal was really nice. That play happened because the Packers kept Fields out of the end zone, which was a call that had to be overturned. But then they stopped him on 4th down. There was some question as to whether or not he actually did get in, but there was no clear evidence, and it did go in our favor. And that's the one thing that my Bears friends were saying to me today. But I shot back and would just answer with, you're mad at that, but you're not mad at the fact that the coaching staff called a shotgun on 4th and inches on the goal line. It just made no sense to me. Why not just give it to Montgomery? Really? I mean,
it's hilarious that I even ran into a Bears fan today that was like, yeah, I guess we'll never really know about that touchdown. And I'm like, listen, the fact that we won basically by 2 touchdowns, well over a touchdown, even if the Bears had scored, it wouldn't have mattered. Plus,
it could have mattered. It could have been a momentum shift that they needed, but
the Bears had no momentum. And the fact that they didn't score and we got the ball on like the half-foot line and had to try to go a long way and just barely make some room to punt versus if the Bears had scored, we would have got the ball back with good field position and probably would have had another score, and we still would have won by as many as we did. So I don't want to hear from Bears fans. They just can't back up the talk. Someday, maybe 20 years from now, they'll be able to beat us a couple games. But right now, no. And they just have to take it.
For what it's worth, I did offer a wager with my boss again this year, but she flatly refused. So she was pretty happy that she did, because she did not have to wear a Packers jersey at school. But last thing I wanted to mention in the positive column here is we didn't have any injuries this game.
None that I know of.
Yeah, I know Bakhtiari's still out, but we didn't have any, sustained this week. So that was really, really good. And then I feel like there's very few weeks where we actually get to say that. So fantastic news there. We do have to talk about a couple lowlights. First off, there was lots of uncharacteristic misses by Rodgers, and I felt like most of those misses were his fault. There was one where it might have been a bad route. It's hard to know for sure because we're not in the huddle. We don't know what play is being called, but it really makes those Rodgers eye rolls super annoying. And I got to give credit to super fan Aaron Peterson. We had this conversation via text last night. He throws a bad pass and then rolls his eyes. Like, dude, that was your fault. Knock it off.
I see the point.
Right. But thankfully, they leaned in on the run game this week instead of just focusing so much on the passing game. And they really dominated there for sure.
And speaking of Aaron Rodgers, he was getting hit. He was getting hit too hard. He was getting hit too often. David Bakhtiari is still very much missed. And without David Bakhtiari there to help protect Aaron Rodgers, we might as well just run the ball even more than we did in this game, because it's more important to win the game than to just throw passes. Although I do love to watch us throw a lot of passes. But when it comes down to it, if I have to choose, I'll take the victory, Scott.
Absolutely. I'm just also really tired of hearing announcers say, "Oh, Bakhtiari should be back in a week or 2." Stop saying it. You've been saying that for since like October of last year, that that Bakhtiari he should be back next week. He should be back. Just, I don't know. The announcers also kind of made it seem like it was his decision to not come back. Like man, I just need one more week. I just want to make sure this is good. I don't know if that's the case. Again, I don't have any inside information, but that was the impression I got from them. So
I saw somebody posted some video, a short clip from practice from a couple of days before the game, and Bakhtiari was limping a little bit on the sidelines. I'm just thinking that doesn't look good.
I'm not an expert. I am not a physical therapist. I do not know what's going on. I just wish that commentators would stop mentioning it. We know he's gone.
I wouldn't mind them stop talking about Davante Adams. He's gone as well. Just
That's true.
Stop.
That's true. Also, I got to mention Christian Watson. I know he had that really bad drop last week. He's not making himself super popular this game either. I mean, it wasn't nearly as bad, but he kind of ran into a snap while he was running in motion. The ball was recovered by Green Bay, but it put them in 3rd and 22, which led to a punt. So not entirely sure it's his fault, although he wasn't really moving super quickly. He was just kind of mediocrely like jogging, like doing like a power walk. But still, I feel kind of bad for him, especially after last week. I think he's a quality receiver. I just I feel like he has yet to be super tested. I mean, if he had came out and caught that ball last week, we'd be singing his praises right now. But I'm not ruling him out. I'm ready to give him some more chances here on as a sideline Packers fan.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to take a while. Just you have to go through a little bit of growing pains as a rookie. If I recall, when Davante Adams was a rookie, he had all sorts of issues as well with drops and this and that. So who knows what could happen? Just don't let Watson go to the Raiders later, okay? Let's just stop that. And this is, there, like you said, there's not very many lowlights, but this just confuses me. It's not really a lowlight, but seeing somebody on our defense wearing jersey number 7 like Quay Walker does, it just throws me off every time. I'm like, wait a minute, is that Don No, that's not Mikowski.
Don Mikowski's
Wait, we're on
number.
defense. Yeah. What is going on? It's just a little thing. I've been this way a long time. I'll get over it.
Yeah. I had some flashbacks seeing that number up there too, but on defense, it was very jarring. But yeah, it's just a number. I've seen a lot of that actually in the NFL. Lots of defensive players or linemen are getting single-digit numbers. I don't know if that, obviously it's not a rule that you have to. It just seems like that's always been the status quo.
Yeah.
And
they changed the outline during this past offseason, and people took advantage. I just thought it was maybe a case of like way back in the day when players would play both sides of the ball. That ain't going to happen.
Nope. Oh, man. Yancey Thigpen, I think remember him for the Steelers, used to play both sides?
Mm-hmm.
There's some other ones. I mean, Bo Jackson played football. He did both sides. Yeah, we don't see that anymore. Everyone's too afraid to get hurt. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to some listener feedback. We do love each and every one of you who listen to the show, but we love hearing your voices even more. Our voicemail line, if you'd like to give us a call, is area code 920-3PACK-GO, or for the best sound, do yourself a favor, record your voice message on your phone and then email it to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com to be part of next week's show, recapping the Bucs game and previewing the Patriots at Packers. Oh, and don't forget to include your guess for the final score of the Packers-Patriots game. The deadline for those calls is going to be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to get them in under the gun. So, Wayne, what is our first voicemail you've got?
Hey, this is Garrett, first-time caller, long-time listener. Just thought that AJ had a great rushing game tonight. I was glad to see them finally put some emphasis on the running game. They should have done it last week too, but oh well. Wide receiver ball distribution, I think I was impressed that they averaged like 3, receptions almost every single guy. So hopefully those numbers go up next week. I just think they just need to shake the rust off a little bit more. It still looks like to me like a preseason game for some of these guys, but nothing better than beating the Bears at Lambeau. And let's hope for a great week of preparation and guys getting completely healthy and prepared to go down and beat Tom Brady. Go Pack, go. Have a great one, guys.
Thanks so much for your call, Garrett. Is that the same Garrett that recommended our tell us how you became a Packer fan? The same Garrett?
It very well could be.
All right. Well, hey, first time caller. I love that. First time caller, long time listener. I don't think I've ever had that on this show. That's pretty cool. I will disagree with one point that Garrett made, though. He said there's nothing better than beating the Bears at Lambeau. I will say beating the Bears at Soldier is pretty good. Now, being at the game, yes, that'd be great. But beating them in Chicago really does feel. It's interesting that he said, some of these players look like they were still in preseason. I think with some of the rookies, yeah. But again, a lot of that is because they're untested. They're not getting, they're not getting as many passes as Watkins and even the the running backs. I feel like they're getting more passes and more touches than those guys. But yeah, I don't even know if rust is the right word because they're still so young. It's not necessarily rust. It's like getting them greased up and ready to go, for their, to get things moving. But it is going to be an interesting week facing off against Tom Brady, especially in the heat. I completely forgot to factor in the heat when I was getting this together. But
Florida, I think a game in December would be much better. But it is what it is, and at least it's not the first game of the season. It's a little bit later. All right, let's go back to the listener voicemails. We got one that came in at feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'd like to see. What a great Packers win. Scott absolutely nailed it in his keys to victory, relying on the run. There were 66 plays run by the Packers. 38 of those were run attempts. That absolutely allowed the Packers to control the clock. They had a time of possession advantage of nearly 15 minutes. That's a full quarter of football, folks. That was also our 7th straight victory over the Bears, matching the second longest win streak in the rivalry. Another good note, Rodgers reached 450 touchdowns. He is one of only 4 other players to do that in all of NFL history. Brady, Breeze, Manning, and Favre are the only others to have reached that milestone. Defense really looked good. That was a great goal line stand against the Bears, stopping Fields on 4th and goal, even though he may have passed the goal line, but we can argue that back and forth, but our referees didn't see it that way, and I'm glad about that. I am a bit concerned with all that first half momentum and then only scoring 3 points in the entire second half and not even until the fourth quarter. There seemed to be a lack of, or a sense of urgency to close that first quarter. They let the clock run out at the end of the first quarter. They were all lined up, ready to go, and they just let it run out. I say keep that ball rolling, keep that momentum going. Overall, it was a really good win and a good building block to move forward to Tampa Bay with. And maybe the commentators can now shut up about Davante Adams, since he only put up 2 for 12 while Sammy Watkins went 3 for 93. I don't know. And speaking of the Bucs, I see a really, really close contest this next Sunday at 4:25. It's going to be a hot one. Looks like it's supposed to be about 89 degrees out there in Tampa Bay. 2 future Hall of Fame quarterbacks, first balloters, going to be duking it out. Just found out that Mike Evans, the Tampa Bay standout wide receiver, is going to be suspended for a game because of the fight that Tom Brady started himself. So they just kind of shot themselves in the foot. Originally, I had thought that the Packers might just lose that game, but I gotta flip the script. I think we're gonna win this one. 24-20 is my prediction for the wager of fun. As always, green and gold till I'm dead and cold. Go, 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 Pack, go!
Wowzers. Wowzers. Listener Dan,
Lord.
a.k.a. Pack Sparrow, thank you so much for putting that together, sending that in. Props to you, Scott, for your keys to victory. The Packers followed it, and they won, and the defense looking good. Dan, great point about 7 wins in a row against the Bears, second longest win streak over the Bears. We'll keep it going. Let's break that record.
I was hoping he was going to say what the record was, because I want to know how many more we got to do to make that happen. But love to beat the Bears.
Whatever the record is, we'll break it. We'll break it. Could be this year, next year. And Dan also was concerned about the momentum leaving us at halftime and the fact that we've got a good building block by winning going into Tampa. And he agrees. Stop talking about Davante now, especially since the Raiders lost again. We got to win, and we will, of course, put your score, Dan, in the Wager of Fun section. I'm very sad to hear about Mike Evans being suspended for that fight that Tom Brady started. That's just a darn shame.
Man, we'll talk about that later, but that was just totally wild. But yeah, Dan, thanks for the info, man. I will say with the momentum, I don't know, because I feel like if we had just actually done something with that play and it didn't go our favor, then we'd probably be saying, well, if they would have just let the clock run out, then that wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
sometimes taking your time and saving those hurry up moments for when we actually absolutely need them probably makes more sense. Although practice makes perfect too, so it's hard to say.
Go Pod, go! Go Pod, go! Yes, yes. And I had Aaron Jones in my fantasy league. Great win today. Great win in fantasy league, even though there's still a game left. But I'm so far ahead. Thank you. Yes. Great play calling on offense. I think that needs to be the strategy if we can. Run heavy, rely on Aaron Rodgers when we can. He can still make, great plays in the red zone, which is what we want. But I think we need to do the defense held up, although it does seem to be an issue, same from last year or the past couple of years, stopping the run. They really struggled out the gate, but they kind of tightened it up a little bit. But what a performance. Love it. Love you guys. It's great to be back. I told you guys, enjoy the wins. Don't worry too much about the losses. 1-1, that's a division rival. Detroit's looking good, but they haven't played us yet. We still own them. Go, Broncos!
Thanks, Andre. Love hearing from you, buddy. Yeah, congrats on the fantasy win. The jury's still out on me because I got several players playing tonight as we record this. So by the time you guys hear this episode, I will probably have that decided. But I was not lucky enough to get Aaron Jones on my team. He would have been great this week. Yeah, defense did struggle a little out the gate, but like you said, especially in that third quarter and even the fourth quarter, just monster. I was like getting pumped up. I just keep waiting for one of those defensive players like Douglas or something to come up with a new move. Like we had the Gravedigger move. We had Clay Matthews with his outstretched arms.
The Predator.
I didn't want these guys to do something again because that was so much fun watching those guys do those things whenever they get an awesome play like that. But we have plenty of season left for something like that to come. And yeah, division wins always feel good. They hurt when we lose too. So it's going to be interesting to see where everything lands after tonight. But looking forward to watching that game.
And while we're speaking of tonight, even though we're recording a Packers Fan Podcast, fly, Eagles, fly. Please
yes.
Beat the Vikings.
Go, Pack, go, baby, let's go! Woo! This is Megan, and I did bring a friend also named Megan to Green Bay with me, but she is asleep right now. It is 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still like reeling about that game. I was extremely stoked to see Allen and Elton, Big 61, and Allen Lizard playing was super fun. I thought they were probably both just thrilled to be on the field playing like an active game. This was an amazing game to go to. This is an amazing game. I had zero doubts that we would come back this week. Like, I mean, yeah, Matt LaFleur, you don't lose 2 games in a row, and if you're under Aaron Rodgers, you don't lose 2 games in a row. Like, you just don't. You learn from it, and you work on it, and you are better. And all I have to say is I am so happy to be a Packer fan. I am so happy to be part of this podcast. I love the podcast. I love the Packers. Go Pack, go. Green and gold. I'm going to, Andre from LA. Go to Denny Cole, baby. Let's go! Woo! We need, all the support and excitement and energy that we can get for the Tampa Bay game. I believe in our guys. I think we might be on a little bit of like, an interesting trajectory with Aaron and the new receivers, and I do kind of think that the new receivers do mesh very well with Jordan, and I would never want to ever imagine or envision a Packers team that's not led by like literally the GOAT. I mean, anyone who tried to argue with that, they're jobless. And I love having other like die-hard, devoted serious, like, to the grave Packer fans to connect with. Your podcast just creates community and like community surrounding the best football team and the best football franchise in the entire world. And we are so lucky. Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go indeed, Megan. Thank you so much for the call, as always. And didn't you say that your other friend, Megan, you always got to bring somebody with you with the same name. You said your friend Megan was asleep. Did she sleep through those yells? And
I was going to say, if she was, she's not anymore.
So well done, Megan. So well done. And thank you for the kind words about the podcast and the listening community.
Absolutely.
And all that good stuff. Oh, so awesome that you made it to the game. What a great game to have been in attendance and watch us take down the Bears.
Yeah, one of my coworkers was at the game last night as well, and she was looking a little rough this morning because, you know, Green Bay's a good 3.5 hours away from here in Rockford.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. So she had a little lack of sleep, but yeah, I was still jealous. I would have loved to have gone to that. It would have been a great game to go to. Not too cold. It was, you know, just a tiny bit of crispness. There was even a little bit of rain at one point,
right,
in the second half. That was good football weather. But yeah, a little jealous.
And Megan, very happy to be a Packers fan. We can totally understand that. And near the end, you're channeling Andre from LA. Well done indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our weekly poll that we post in the Facebook group, which you can find at packerscommunity.com, as well as on Twitter at Packers Fan Pod. And thank you, Scott, for coming up with this particular question so we could avoid a little bit of the controversy on the other side of things. So basically, since we're going to Tampa, who's going to end up retiring first? Will it be Rodgers? Will it be Brady? Or will they make some crazy pact to both retire on the same day? What do you think, Scott?
This is a very difficult question to answer because it seriously depends on how this season ends. Because unlike Brady, Rodgers wants to finish on top. He gets one more win under his belt. I think he's satisfied and he's good because he wants to quit while he's ahead. Brady had that opportunity and apparently got went back home and realized he's going to have to take the garbage out every night or every week and mow the yard and stuff. Forget that. I want to play football, and came back. So it really depends on that. But I still think it's going to be Brady because he's been there, done that already. And I don't know the story, but I keep hearing people talk about some drama with his wife not wanting to play anymore. So yeah, I feel confident it's going to be Brady. How about you?
I agree, and pretty much for the same reasons. I think if by some chance we don't win the Super Bowl this year, Aaron may come back for another one, but I think this is definitely the last one for Tom Brady. And the people voting in the polls on Facebook and Twitter agree. After combining the votes, 73% said Tom Brady's out of here first. 13% say Aaron Rodgers is retiring first because Tom Brady, much like Brett Favre, doesn't know when to stop. But believe it or not, 14% voted saying that both will retire on the same day.
That's still got to be, one's got to be first. One's got to be first. There's no way they have like a joint press conference and just both announce at the same time. That'd be amazing.
Could you imagine the hype?
It'd be nuts. And just to be direct, that has nothing to do with my fandom for Green Bay. Obviously, I'm a massive Packers fan. I just think it just makes more sense that Tom Brady would step back. Right. Before Rodgers did, but
it's math.
With that said, if the Packers do make it to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, I could see Rodgers being like, "All right," washing his hands and said, "I'm good now. I got my one more. I'm just gonna take it while I got it." We had some comments from our listeners on this poll as well. First off, Caleb Go Pack Go over on Twitter says Brady is, in my opinion, purely playing this year out of spite to Schefter for leaking his retirement. LOL. There could be some truth to that. There really could be some truth to that. Taking his thunder. Jason Faltonek on the Facebook group said Giselle is going to force Brady's hand at the end of the season. This is definitely it for him. So
interesting. I
do agree with that, but who's going to announce it first is the big question.
And Dan Dyler reminds us TB12 already did retire. And he'll do it again after this season. Full send.
Very possibly. Yep.
So, yeah, if you want to get technical.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh. Reminder that we want to hear your stories on how you became a fan of the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. And we want you to share your Packers fandom's origin story right here on the show. So would you share yours? Don't be shy. If you call in and goof up, no worries. Hang up and call back again and again and again. We'll use the best one. Call us at +1 920 3PACK-GO, or just record it right on your phone, attach it to an email, and send it to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. And thanks again to Garrett for the suggestion. This is going to be fun.
I agree. And if you don't even want to, you're really worried about messing things up, how about you just drop us an email like these people who did? First off, hey, Wayne and Scott, this is CCR from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Boy, I got to sing it. What a difference a week makes.
Oh, wow. Talk like a fan, I tell you. Legend right here, Scott Clark.
We may have a few missed opportunities, but at least we won the game. Some good points we had was that Allen Lazard had a touchdown, Aaron Jones had 2, and we saw Sammy Watkins score. I don't believe that's accurate. Sammy Watkins didn't get a touchdown, right?
No, I don't think Sammy did, but that's okay.
Yeah.
They were wearing green and gold. That's good for me.
Yeah, he had a massive, was like a 63-yarder. That was pretty fun to see, but did not see him in the end zone. They go on to say, a few things we must do is protect Aaron Rodgers when he is under pressure, as well as work on the run defense. We allowed Darnell Mooney to almost score, and that can't happen. Oh, another good thing that happened was that we stopped the Bears from scoring at the 1-yard line. All in all, great game, and can't wait for next week. Go Pack Go, bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Thank you so much, CCR. As always, your calls, emails, comments, and support are so much a part of the Packers Fan Podcast. Thank you very much. Remember, you can join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community and be part of the conversations at packerscommunity.com.
And now, your 1-1 Green Bay Packers are heading to hot and humid Tampa Bay to face the 2-0 Buccaneers at 3:25 p.m. Central on Sunday, September 25th. And on that day, even though it'll be hot and humid, Scott, means it's 3 months till Christmas. So think cool thoughts, right? So it's going to be TB12 versus AR12, plus the other players on the field. The Green Bay Packers lead this series as well, 33-23, and 1 tie. And remember back when the Buccaneers were in our division, it was always weird since they're down in Florida. On the plus side, they did have those cool creamsicle uniforms and pirate helmets. And speaking of those creamsicle Buccaneers, when wearing those uniforms, the Buccaneers' record was, in total, 87 wins and 204 losses and 1 tie. So I like those kind of stats. So if they want to put those things on for this week, that'd be nice.
Oh, and seriously, their new uniforms ever since they got rid of that are so much better. I really do like the logo they got and the whole pirate ship thing they got going on. And
get rid of that pirate ship in the end zone. That's stupid.
No, I think that's pretty cool actually. But that orange color, it was like a pirate with like a sword in his mouth or something, and you could barely see what it was because the logo just felt really poorly designed. Yeah, the cross swords on a red flag looks a lot cooler. I like that very much.
If you say so. The first ever matchup between these two teams, October 23rd, 1977. The Packers won 13-0. Not a high scoring matchup, but the 70s weren't the Packers' best decade, and a win is a win. So here's to the Packers bringing back the domination era.
Absolutely, and I've got a really awesome memory of a Tampa Bay Green Bay game. On November 20th, 2011, the Packers hosted the Bucs at Lambeau Field. This is a very memorable game for me. I was there, but it was also the first game that I was able to see in person with my brother. It was actually his first trip to Lambeau, so I got to be there for his first time out at the field, watching his expression as he walked out of that tunnel and out there to see the field. It was just really, it was so much fun. I got a great picture of us outside the stadium, all bundled up, tossing a football back and forth. It was great. And then to top it off, it turned it into a great win as well. The Packers outscoring Tampa by a score of 35-26.
Right. Another victory. That made your day even better.
Mm-hmm.
And Sunday afternoon's weather in Tampa Bay, like Dan mentioned earlier, it's forecast to be Well, possibly a small chance of rain, but it is going to be about 84 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff, rain or not, which is around 29 balmy degrees Celsius.
Yeah, at this point, I think I'm rooting for rain because any elements is going to give us the advantage over Tampa, I think. But man, as long as it's not as wet as that Chicago game last week. Holy cow.
Wow.
Man, I made for some great pictures. Well, Wayne, I've got some keys to a Packers victory this week. Are you ready for them, sir?
I'm ready because last week your keys to victory were spot on and sealed the deal. So bring it.
Well, I hope I can do some justice this week. But my number one key is going to be that the third quarter needs to be a focus this game. I don't know what it is about the Packers coming out of a break, but it needs to stop. Whether it be a break with the offseason, a break with the bye, both regular season and playoffs, or a short break at halftime, the Packers offense seems to rest on their laurels coming out of a break, and it drives me crazy. Thankfully, the defense was outstanding in the second half this time around, but we should have added a lot more padding to that score to make it feel more comfortable, and I think that needs to be a focus. Obviously, Coach seemed pretty amped by talking about, hey, we're 0-0 in the third quarter, but it feels like the players didn't take it to heart very much, so yeah, third quarter needs to be a focus. Secondly, capitalize on the lack of receiving core. We caught a lucky break with the ejection of Mike Evans during the Saints game this weekend, and that should put a damper on Tampa's offense on an already thin list of names there. But Brady is an incredible quarterback, but he's also been surrounded by incredible talent and coaching. His ability to pull a miracle should be waning this week, but the best way to take advantage is to run up the score early and protect it. That's no easy task considering Brady's pedigree and history of winning games that he shouldn't. But if we could pull all of those 3 and outs against him like we did Chicago, there's no reason we can't win this game. Lastly, be prepared for a defensive struggle this week and focus on our good health. The Bucs defense just dominated the Saints this last week. I had Tampa Bay's defense on my fantasy team, and I am very happy. That's all I'm going to say. They're truly the biggest reason why Tampa is 2-0 at this point. It's going to be an insane uphill battle to keep those guys out of Rodgers' face. But outside of the woefully missed Bakhtiari, we're mostly healthy at this point, where the Bucs aren't. Keeping Jones, Rodgers, and Dillon protected is going to be the name of the game this week, as it won't be anywhere near as easy to run past the Bucs defense like we did Chicago's. Remember, week 2 is officially in the past, and like Coach said, this game also starts 0-0.
Wow, that's very motivational, Scott. I like it. It's got me ready. Sunday afternoon, it's going to be epic. And, I know you have the Buccaneers defense, but I hope your fantasy team goes down in flames this week, unless all your other players give you all the points. Just we need the Buccaneers defense to be terrible somehow.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, great keys to victory. Thank you very much for those. Mm-hmm. And now, speaking of looking ahead as well as in the past, our 2022 season wager roll fund. We'll explain how it works again, and then we'll be into the groove after week 3. Basically, the closest guess to the actual score, except in cases when a score prediction is for a victory and the Packers lose, you get no points, and vice versa. And we've got the listeners participating this year, right, Scott?
Yeah, we do. The winner out of the listeners will get some Packers Fan Podcast swag and, of course, bragging rights. That's just probably the most important thing. And if they beat the winner of the Wayne and Scott head-to-head matchup, they get bragging rights, a Packers Fan Podcast swag pack, as well as a custom-made 2022 Packers Fan Podcast Wager of Fun all-around champion T-shirt that will be designed by the end of the season. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And let's get right into the predictions. Last week, I predicted that the Packers were going to score 23, Bears 17, gave me a differential of 10. Wayne predicted 30 for the Packers and 10 for the Bears. And since the score was actually 27-10, his differential was only 3. So unfortunately, Wayne gets the point for the first, or actually it's week 2 technically. And I got to tell you, Wayne, it was all I could do. I really wanted badly to root for that score in the end zone. If it would have been, oh man, his name is escaping me now, Montgomery. Part of me was because I feel like they're going to score, give it to Montgomery. Then I would have had a perfect score this week, and my fantasy team would have been happy. So, but not thankfully, I'm still bitter that you got the first week, man. I hate coming from behind on this, but yeah, congratulations on the first W, man.
Thank you so very, very much. I will accept the point this week. 1-0 when there's 17 games in the season. We got a long season ahead.
We do.
How'd the listeners do? I heard that a listener was very, very close.
Actually perfect. David Newman got the exact score. He called us. It wouldn't even bother doing any of the calculations because he predicted Packers 27, Bears 10, and that was in fact the exact score. So well done, Newman. Little jealous. I would have liked to have had another perfect one. So right now, David and I have one perfect and he has one perfect. So that's going to be the real true test. This is who gets more perfect.
Oh my goodness. Maybe I should concentrate harder so I can get in on this as well. But congratulations, David. That very well done indeed.
Well, you know what that means, Wayne? If you win this whole thing, or if I win this whole thing, it's only if you win this whole thing. If you win this whole thing, but you tied David in total number of wins called throughout the year, David technically gets the edge because he had a perfect score. That would give him that would be the tiebreaker.
We'll see.
You got to beat Newman by at least one full game. Just saying.
I understand. And David's off to a great start. Other listeners have said, hey, it's just one win. We're going to come through in coming weeks because we have a couple of guesses already for this week, but some do come through in the Facebook group, which again is packerscommunity.com. They can come through during the week, and we'll include those as well. So this week's predictions for Packers at Buccaneers. I think we're going to win this one. I know. I always do that, but I do think it's going to be close. I'm very nervous about this game. Packers 24, Buccaneers 21.
Oh, wow. I think that this is going to be a very low-scoring game. We've got an incredible defense, playing against a lackluster offense on Tampa Bay. And I'm not disparaging Tom Brady by saying that. It's just the receiving course not there. So it's going to be real close. I'm going to say it's even closer than you're saying. I'm going to say Packers 21, Bucks 20.
Whoa.
1 point different.
This is going to be one of those heart attack games, I feel.
Yeah. And remember, when you call into our Packers Fan Podcast voicemail at 920-3PACK-GO right after the Bucs game, please remember to include your wager of fun final score predictions for Patriots at Packers. So here are the picks we have so far for the Packers fan listeners' wager of fun. David Newman says Packers 17, Bucs 14, and he might be spot on again. It's going to be a pretty low scoring game. He might have it again. And Dan Dyler says Packers 24, Bucks 20. So he's real close to your prediction there, man.
Okay, things are happening. If the Buccaneers miss one of those extra points in the rain or what have you, we'll have to wait and see. So thank you for your guesses. We'll see what happens. The NFC North. Now, of course, we don't know what the Vikings are going to do tonight because the game just kicked off at this very moment, just about. They're playing the Eagles. So fly, Eagles, fly. Please beat the Vikings, because if so, we'll have the Packers at 1-1. The Vikings would then be 1-1. The Bears are 1-1, and the Lions are 1-1.
I love how in this listing you still put the Packers in first place, because if the Vikings, even if they lost, they would still be in first place over us because they beat us. Just
but that's that Common Core math or something. This is the Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13th NFL champion Green Bay Packers. We'll all be 1-1, but the Bears will, of course, have had more losses in the division. And I was surprised the Lions were favored to win this past week, and they did.
Nice.
Jared Goff looked on fire.
Yeah.
What happened?
Who would have known? And they're unfortunately not going to get that winless season for anybody in the NFC North. So,
well, the Niners are still winless, so I got that going for me. Or did they win?
At least. I don't know if I saw the Niners game.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
All right. Some other happenings in the NFL that caught my eye this week. We've talked about it a bunch already, but the ejections of Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore was insane to watch. I was actually watching that game live, and I could not believe both benches cleared. Punches were swung, all to protect Tom Brady, who started the thing. Like you said, it was kind of crazy. These two guys have actually been at each other for years.
Yes, they have.
The thing that bugged me the most about this whole thing, not just even the fact that it happened, but that as he's being escorted off the field, he goes and signs an autograph for a kid, which is just, what kind of message are you sending that kid? Like, I'm sorry.
That's lame. Oh,
that just really, really bugged me. And I would say the same thing if we're a Packer doing that. I will say that right now. That just seriously drove me crazy.
Well, it's a darn shame that he's not going to be there for the Bucs this week. A darn shame. Oh, man. Another thing that stood out to me this week was it really is, after a number of false starts, this year seems to be Tua time in Miami. Dude threw 6 touchdown passes. The Dolphins are 2-0. They beat the Ravens and they beat the Patriots.
That's insane. I want to go see the stats and see the last time that Miami was 2-0. I can't imagine that it's been. I imagine it's been quite a while since they've been 2-0. I could be wrong, but man, I want to see those stats.
And it's
what
not
a comeback.
Yeah, and it's not like the Ravens had a bad game, because I've got Lamar Jackson as my fantasy quarterback, and he still got me a lot of points.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, what a comeback that was. Baltimore had 21 points on them at one point, and they came back and won that game. It's just nuts to me. It was, wow, crazy.
And another game where a team was down out of the count and you just thought it was over. The Cardinals come from behind to take the game against the Raiders in overtime, and then got a fumble from the Raiders, picked it up. Nobody touched the guy. He runs it in for a touchdown, and it was over in a blink of an eye. Go Cardinals.
Yeah. It was a great weekend of football all around.
Wild.
It really was.
The Raiders had that game all the way until overtime.
And speaking of Devontae, I know we've mentioned his name just as much as the announcers, but the Raiders are 0-2, man. I mean, I know Devontae's numbers were great week 1, but like you mentioned, he had, 2 catches this week? And I don't wish Adams ill will whatsoever.
No, we just don't want to hear about him from the announcers 5 times every game. But and the Raiders, that's listener Hank Davis's main team, and we certainly wish him happiness. But
unless they're playing
Raiders
the Packers.
are 0-2, so it's one of those things.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, I want to remind everybody about my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider. We just recorded our 415th episode this weekend.
Wow.
And it will be released this Thursday. This time we decided to take a deep dive into 2 pretty big online streams from Sony and Nintendo that had some interesting reveals this week, including the return of GoldenEye to modern consoles. Yes, you heard that right. GoldenEye is coming back to Switch, and it's actually coming to Xbox, which is a lot of fun. You can hear us talk about that. I've also been playing an Apple arcade game called Jetpack Joyride 2, and you can hear me talk about that. I am enjoying it quite a bit. Wayne, I know you're an Apple guy. I would recommend you check out this game because it's literally one button. You play the entire game, pressing a button, releasing it, pressing a button, releasing it. But
I can do this. I can do this.
Do it.
This is
you can do it.
Jetpack Joyride 2.
Yes, actually, you could probably get the original Jetpack Joyride if you want to try it, because I think that one's free to play. This one is attached to Apple Arcade, which is subscription. But yeah,
that's
you should look into that, man.
I've got Apple One, so I've got the gaming.
Oh, give it a shot, man, or listen to me talk about it on Thursday and decide for yourself.
And if I wanted to do that, I could find the show at thegamingoutsider.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so very much for your Patreon support of the Packers Fan Podcast. It helps cover the costs of our MP3 hosting, the website, the email hosting, URL renewals for PackersFanPodcast.com and PackersCommunity.com and so forth. You rock. The details for Patreon are at PackersFanPodcast.com. Just use the Support Us link button that you see there on the right. And coming in with his monthly Patreon support at the Jim Ringo level, Mr. Dan Dyler, Go Pack Goes, and hearty thank yous to you, sir. And at the AR12 support level, thank you and Go Pack Go to Jay Walters. You rock.
How about some more Go Pack Goes and thank yous for the Packers Fan Podcast pledges at the Brett Favre support level, Jeff Summerfield, Andre in LA, Colm Nolan from Ireland, Scott Boers, and Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast. Also, don't forget Packers founder Curly Lambeau, Go Pack Goes, and thank yous to those supporting us at the Lambeau level, Joe Christensen, Hank Davis from the TPE Network of Podcasts, and Matt Haig. Thank you, everybody, so much for your support. If you too are interested in becoming a patron of the Packers Fan Podcast, check out the details at PackersFanPodcast.com. Just look for the Support Us button on the right-hand side of the site.
And as a reminder, the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast is not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, but we do want you to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts, and our favorite thing is when you tell a friend.
Absolutely. And hey, you can also follow us on Twitter. Our handle is @PackersFanPod. My personal handle is @GoCastScott, and Wayne's personal handle is @WayneHenderson. And now to close us out and motivate us all to look forward to the game in Tampa Bay, it's Pack Sparrow, also known as Dan Dyler.
Hello, it be your old friend, Captain Pack Sparrow. It's been a while, but I wanted to let you know that we are about to embark on a journey of epic proportions. The USS Lambeau has undergone repairs and improvements, and even has some new crew members. She has finally been deemed seaworthy and is ready to set sail from the waters of the Bay of Green into enemy territory. We shall face many challenges, and some nearby foes, some of whom still suck. We will even cross great oceans to brand new to us, yet very old lands. And we shall end our packtastic voyage with a portage across the desert to Phoenix, where we shall find and hoist the ultimate treasure. 7 pounds of Pirate Lombardi's stolen silver to return home with what is rightfully ours. Walk the Plank Wayne and Scurvy Scott have assured me there are many menacing marauders out there who'd be willing to go on this expedition, where the only fuel we shall need be a steady chorus of Go, Pack, Go. Who's with me, you scalawags? Go, 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 Pack, Go!